What's up, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel and welcome on in. Just got back from the Kaseya Center. It is about 1:15 in the morning here in South Florida. As your Miami Heat, they lose a heartbreaker today, 111 to 110. My arch nemesis, Domantas Sabonis, you bastard. Put back shot after a De'Aaron Fox miss there at the end. And they come back from a game that they had. Then it looked like the Miami Heat. They got back-to-back threes from Jimmy Butler, then Terry Rozier, and it felt in that moment like, boom, this puppy is over. Felt like it. Felt like that puppy was over. And then DeMar DeRozan hit a three. Tyler Hero fouls him, and so instead of a 5-point lead, it's cut immediately to a 1-point lead. I did not feel great about that. That one was rough. That being said, to Hero's credit, he took a stand in front of DeRozan. He did force a turnover. DeRozan would then foul him. He'd go to the line. Heat would go up 3. There was less than 40 seconds left. Malik Monk threw a tomahawk jam down from hell. Nobody had any interest in stopping him there. And then, so they cut the lead. The Heat's lead standing at a mere 1 point. 9 seconds left. Jimmy Butler goes with a turnaround jumper. No good. So his hot run had ended. And the Kings call timeout with 9 seconds left. De'Aaron Fox misses initial shot. Really strong rebound off the back of the iron. Domantas Sabonis gets it, puts it back with 0.7 left. Needs some Spo magic. He gives Pelle Larsson the keys to the car. He throws it to Terry Rozier, nowhere near the basket, who threw up a heave. Game over. Heat lose. And they drop to 1-3 at home. And you will notice the familiar path of quality team, Miami Heat. Every game pretty much goes the same, right? I was going to tweet this out the way it felt like it was going. This one went into my draft, so save it for a rainy day because the game ended up being a little bit more of a thriller than I thought it was going to be. But every game has really felt to the good teams, all right? I think the one decent part of so far this year is the Heat, the teams that they seem clearly better than, okay, they get a handle of, and that's good. But these, one of their losses, the only game they really weren't in was the Magic game. The Magic game, Magic wiped the floor of them in the second half, and that was over. But the last two against decent opponents, the Knicks game and then this game, it was very even. Then felt like the Miami Heat were, kind of taking control of the game. I'd have to go back to my, let's see. The Knicks game at halftime, you feel, the Heat led it by 6 that one. So it's like it's gone every which way, where it's gone like first quarter, even Steven, and then it's like second quarter, kind of feels like the Heat have control of this puppy, and then third quarter has been a known enemy of Heat Nation for a long time, but it has hit a crescendo so far this season. The Miami Heat in the third quarter today, were outscored 37-17. 37-17, riding high off of Bam Adebayo. He hit a buzzer over Alex Len at the buzzer. They kind of got Sabonis in foul trouble. They were, Pelle, that's going to be the second, because the Heat ruined what would have been Pelle Larson night. But the Heat they were rolling, baby. And they even came out of the half. Jimmy Butler got a bucket over Sabonis. They go up 15. And then it was like, enough of this nonsense. It's the De'Aaron Fox show, dude. And what the Fox say? He says, hit a bucket here, hit a bucket there, hit a bucket everywhere. He was all over the place, dude. I mean, if you want to talk about flirting with the Heat brass and saying, hey, if I don't like it here at the end of the year, if my Kings run has come to an end, remember me. This kid's been a Heat killer since he got out of a Kentucky jersey. He really has been. But he completely flipped the game on its head for the Sacramento Kings, because he couldn't miss. I mean, he was hitting everything. He was answering jumpers. He was hitting threes. He was getting right to the rim. He basically dictated an entire 9-0 run. It was very, very impressive. He got tough buckets over Terry Rozier. I mean, his third quarter was the complete flip of this one. What was his final third quarter stats? I think he finished with 13 points, 16 points. 16 points for De'Aaron Fox in that third quarter, where the Heat got outscored 37-17. So he basically matched the Miami Heat's production by himself. That's crazy. I don't really know. I mean, yeah, if you look at it on the plus minus in the third quarter, Bam and Tyler were both minus 20. The rest of the starting lineup was -9. Everybody was a minus for the quarter who played, but the Kentucky boys got they were not top Wildcat tonight. Hell, they weren't even top Kentucky Wildcat tonight. Top Wildcat was Arizona Wildcat. But anyway, that was the main theme. Afterwards, everybody was talking about it. You know, Spo.
I don't know. If we've looked at everything, at just some point, you just have to take a stand and just say enough is enough. You know, in these third quarters, we played a great half again. You know, I feel like we outplayed them. You know, in those other quarters, it's just we're gonna have to figure it out. You know, we're gonna have to figure it out. You know, it's 3 straight games. We have to call the first time out, and it just, you know, it takes a little bit of the wind out of your sails. But with that said, still, like, it's not all going to go perfect. I thought we responded much better, you know, in the fourth quarter. And you take the lead, go up, you know, 5 points, then up 3. You know, you should win those games, and we just weren't able to do it.
Jimmy and Tyler.
Start the third quarter better. We feel like the first. Every quarter we've won, every quarter except the third.
That's crazy.
I mean, there's not much to talk about at this point. It's about the third quarters. That's been a trend for us literally all year. So we got to figure it out.
Damn.
And Bam.
Like I said, man, it's the third quarter. Honestly, it's not first half. It's not the fourth. It's the third. I don't know. It's kind of like we just let our foot off the gas, and we just let teams back into it to try and make it interesting, and it's cost us a couple games.
Bam, on the third, do you think it's at all mental at this point, where the team, after the opponent goes on a short run, you all think, there we go again? Is that factoring into it?
No. Like I said, short-term memory, but when we get in that moment, we always have that conversation of we can't keep letting this happen. So I feel like we'll have a breakthrough at some point.
I guess, what have you liked about what you guys have been doing? Because for the majority of it, it has felt like it's worked. And so, like, what are the things that you have liked about it so far and that you think you can carry on to improve?
I mean, we run in transition. We get relief points. And for 3 quarters, we play hard as shit on defense. And it's like that third quarter is just kind of like we got to get back to a feel and figure it out type of thing.
I don't really know where to go with it. You know, you can see the disbelief with Jimmy, like, reading the box score as it's there. Bam. He's like, we're playing hard as bleep in the third quarter. And then it's just getting away from him. And then with Spo's, like, you know, we've looked at it all, but we got to take a stand. Okay. Fine, but the Heat are okay. So this is really an interesting question, right? Because the Heat, Their starting unit, when you start games, it really hasn't been a problem, right? Like the first quarters aren't the issue, but the thirds are. And you have to wonder if, I'm not saying, hey, switch things out of halftime, but do the Heat have to look at some starting lineup semblance that they got to go somewhere different? And I know the Heat fan wants to talk about, the second unit. We'll definitely get into that, but this has to be mentioned because this is the lineup that's responsible for starting these third quarters, and this is where it all goes to high hell. So I don't know what they do. I mean, the most obvious move, if you're just going on production, is Nico, because Nico's just been struggling finding his way. You watch him play these games, and teams are picking on him. He's just got to play a little bit bigger. Like right now, he's looking a lot like Serbian Justice Winslow right now. Like just doesn't have a lot of confidence going to the rim. He blew a fast break dunk today. He's got to play a lot bigger than he is. He's got to play his size is what I should rather say. He's got to utilize it. And it seems like in this starting lineup, I don't think he really knows where he fits in. And I think he's pressing a little bit because he even mentioned this in some preseason games where he's like, I got to make these shots. So I think, because you guys know, I'm a big Jovic fan. I love Nico, right? And I think that this is a talented basketball player. But I do feel like things are a little, he seems like he needs to be freed up a little bit. And I almost wonder if he needs to reside almost in the backup 4-5 spot with Jimmy, because, Jimmy and him, they got something, right? Like there's some kind of mental connection that they have together. There's a bromance. There's some kind of connection there. And I feel like Spo's rolling out these Thomas Bryant minutes, and I don't really know why. God love the guy. He tries his ass off, but he's what are we doing? What are we doing with those minutes? And I almost feel like should be twofold. It should be Nico in those minutes should be playing with Jimmy, getting out and running, speed up, put another shooter out there with them. Because it's usually Jimmy, a couple of shooters, Thomas Bryant, and then, whatever bad Jay Rich. It was Jay Rich a lot tonight, who was very, very rough. He definitely had a rough game too. Not putting the game on him, just, he looks like he's getting his legs under him. He needs some time to adjust. It's very clearly he's not all the way back. Duncan, pretty solid today, nailing his shots. Definitely looked confident in his shot. Hit some hard threes today too. So I'm looking at the starting lineup, and I don't know who you insert there. Is it as simple as throwing Haywood out there? Do you put Jaime there? Because it's a lot of guys who need the ball if you put Jaime there. I do like Jaime. It should be noted they did not have Jaime Jaquez tonight. Jaime got a stomach illness fresh out of Mexico, which, no bueno, dude. That's tough. So I like Jaime in that role. Pelle's got and then you look at the rest of the guys. Like, how many guys did Spell play tonight? What did he play? He played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He played 6 guys. Okay, so he played 11 guys tonight. Pelle Larsson led the bench minutes with 25 points. He was freaking awesome tonight. He was so good. He needs to play. Dude. There's something about him that's just like, you need to be able to make plays. We talk so much about this guy needs to make shots. This dude just doesn't need the basketball to go make impactful plays, and he wasn't scared today. They were throwing him on friggin' De'Aaron Fox. They're throwing him on every defender there is. He tried to stay in front of him. He was very competitive. There were plenty of times where guys had to like swing it to somewhere else because Pelle was standing his ground. He's just a dog, man. He's a dog. I love Pelle Larsson. There were plays today where he's just like flying all over the place, throws the basketball off of a king, keeps the Heat possession, second chance points, tipping the ball all over the place. Like he just fits in. He fits in. He's friggin' everywhere. Intangibles to the fullest, dude. And it also helped that he was hitting his shots today too. I mean, he had an and one. He was hitting a shot from downtown. Just an awesome performance from Pelle. Like the best 13 points you've ever had, but also just was friggin' everywhere, dude. He was threw a beautiful lot to Bam today. Pelle, and just, you know, I saw Ethan point this out on Twitter from 5 Reasons, and he's totally right. Like, had no interest after the game about talking about his good performance. You could tell he's competitive. He is pissed. That kid needs to play, dude. He needs to play. I love it. I love what he brought to the table today. This should have been the Pelle Larsson breakout party, but instead, you know, you got to like sulk over the loss, which I'm really not going to do because it seems what are we going to do? We're going to keep complaining about the same things over and over and over again. They very clearly got to figure out there's something not working with that unit. Something's got to switch. I don't think, you know, Spo, you heard his explanation there where he's like, well, you got to make a stand. I'm like, all right, but you could also make some changes. Perhaps you could give it a little looky-loo. And my God, dude, okay, you know, Jimmy and Tyler are both making this point about rebounding after the game. Again, I go to Thomas Bryant, right? And this is nothing against him. Trying his ass off, cool. I don't for the life of me get why Khalil Ware's not getting any run. I don't understand it. I don't understand why in this time with no Kevin Love. Okay, maybe the point, because this is really the only explanation I can have is like, suppose like, well, I'm going to play Kevin Love when he comes back. Why? What is whistle now? Let's just develop him. Seems to be the only logical explanation. But I don't really see what we're doing here. You know, in a team that is, you know, always struggling in those, you know, in those non-BAM minutes, and always trying to find somebody to be a deterrent. I don't get it. But I knew this was going to happen. Like, I'm not surprised by it. I don't get it. But you see tonight what Pelle brought to the table, and it looked very much a lot of the winning stuff that he did in Summer League we saw in a game tonight. And I don't understand for the life of me why we can't give Khalil Ware a whirl and see if he could bring anything to the table, because the team needs it. What did you pick him for? I don't understand this redshirting stuff. If he was 18, 19, okay. He's got a couple of years of college under his belt. What like, you know, this is not an inexperienced player. It's just a strange thing, man. I don't know. You know, again, not the reason they lost. The reason they lost is that third quarter. And then, you know, they just got out executed at the end. What can you do? You can't end the games when you have it in hand and you're up a couple possessions. You can't give up a 4-point play. You can't let a willy-nilly dunk by Malik Monk. You know, and you can't allow Sabonis to get that rebound. You know, it's not good enough. Not good enough. Close. I mean, Jimmy, you know, credit to him. Everybody who wants to say he sleeps through games and, you know, doesn't bring his best all the time. Like, he had he flipped. He saw what was happening there in that third quarter. He came out of the fourth quarter and he took it by the reins and he put it back in the Heat's control completely. I mean, he really took over that fourth, all the way up to them getting that 3-ball from Jimmy. He had a sick 3 in the corner, 105, 101. And I really thought, I was like, he hit that. That really felt like the Heat were going to hit. The other big thing with the Heat tonight, I should mention, couldn't hit their free throws. They left on the line tonight. They got to the free throw line twice as many times as Sacramento did. And they left 9 free throws off the board today. 21 of 30. So slice it in half, dude. You win the game. In half. But Jimmy missed 3. Bam missed 3. You know, come on. I mean, like, you can't give those up. It's part of your game. You can't give those up, dude. Can't do it. Oh, man. Rough. Sucks. So the Heat head out onto the road. They're going to going to be a trip that tests them for sure. They start in Phoenix on Wednesday, Denver on Friday night, and then Minnesota on Sunday, the first leg of this trip. And then the second leg is Detroit and then 2 in Indiana. So they won't be home until Monday the 18th. We got 13 days with your Heat gone out on the road. But strangely enough, I do think Spo likes to get a little he likes to get a little frisky, a little kinky on the road on those West Coast trips. So maybe we'll see a Kalel Ware get rolled out there. I feel like that could be some tinkering that may go out on the way those late nights with Spo. But Kevin Love was on the bench tonight, and his return, like he's returning to competition conditioning. I'm sure they'll get Hyman back for the trip. I'd imagine. I don't think this is going to be something that, you know, cripples him for too long. You should be out there fairly soon. But yeah, you're thinking about like Phoenix and certainly, you know, Denver, who's got Jokic, big time matchup, and Minnesota's got Gobert. They don't have Cat anymore, but you know, I'm curious to see like what Spo is gonna do. Like the first half of this trip, pretty tough. And then the next 4 after that, I mean, especially the way Philadelphia is playing, there's an element for the Heat to get some cushion. But they got to show consistency. You know, I like how they've been looking against what's been very clearly inferior opponents, but the ones that, you know, maybe have a leg up or they're even with, they just haven't gotten the better of. They haven't out-executed. And that's been the issue. So they got to get back to the drawing board with this, but more Pelle Larsson for sure. He was so, like, that's the thing. Like, I'm bummed about the loss, but this is an odd thing, is that I'm so fired up with that performance from him and so excited to see what he can bring. Like, it just feels like a perfect guy that they need for all the other guys that they have on this, like just somebody who wants to be in everywhere, almost to a Caleb effect. Like, you know, you want to talk about what they lose in Caleb, what they lose in Gabe. Like, I think he can bring some of that stuff, you know, just an energizer bunny, dude. Just like everybody's going to enjoy playing with him. They need more of those. You know, they have a lot of guys who can put up shots. They have a lot of guys who can, you know, bring that, but the other stuff, the gritty stuff, that's what was exciting about Pelle tonight. Like that was encouraging. Like, so yeah, they lost a buzzer beater game, third quarter awful, but it felt like a Pelle's here to stay game. I was like, okay, he's closing the game. I know there was no Hyman tonight, but he's closing the game. Spo's giving him the inbound pass, you know, because even Spo's like, it almost felt like Spo's like, you know what? We're probably going to lose in this situation. 0.7 left. Let's see if the kid can make something happen. They didn't make something happen, but the point was, it was enjoyable to see him in action. I really dug it. He made tonight a really, really fun watch in an exciting, in an overall exciting game. He today was easily my favorite part of it.